Hachin Chokma. How are y'all? Doing good?
Chokma.
Okay.
Hi, Chokma. Hi, Chokma.
So today we have a special guest from my CAAIVP cohort, Fitzhugh Shaw. He's going to be teaching us about syllables, how to divide them, and then he'll go into rhythmic lengthening. Right, Fitz?
Hey,
Oh, me.
auspicio.
Um, so yeah, Fitz and I were in CAAIVP level 1 and level 2 together. And we continue to learn together in level 3, but that's separate from the nation and the CAAIVP program. It's just our cohort continued to learn together on our own after that program ended. And so we meet for that about 3 times a week, and then I do this as well, um, for y'all and to make it available for everyone on the internet to see how we learned in CAA IVP, which was obviously it's going to be a little bit different considering that I'm not the same teacher, but just using the same, trying my best to use the same methods and techniques and to be as accurate as possible. And one of the things I struggled with the most was just pronunciation, and I think that this rhythmic lengthening class is really going to help us out going forward. So thank you for being here, Fitz. And is there anything else you want to say about yourself?
Uh, Yo. Um, I I don't want to introduce myself, Chickasaw Nompa, because I don't want to. I got really frustrated when I was starting out when people would talk a lot of Chickasaw. I didn't know what they were saying, but and then you're just kind of like, cool, cool, cool. Um, so the whole forward Fitzhugh Shaw, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, atale ogya Madill, Oklahoma ako micha uh Alabama, Chickasaw Yagne in Alabama, Mintalituk. So um uh you know I've been around Chickasaw land like a lot of my life, but also have lived in New York City and lots of other places. So I have this a funny experience of being like a citizen at large who has had a lot of difficulty connecting with the language and the culture, while also being on, at nation functions a lot and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to be with Chickasaw people no matter where or why. And I'm really happy that y'all are learning the language, thanks to Simone's hard work. And yeah, because we're all over the place. Like you lift up a rock, you find Chickasaw people. Uh, um, but anyway, I'm happy to be here and talk to you about this, and just happy to meet people doing Chickasaw Nopa Tuxili. So, Minla.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Koki
yeah,
Fitz.
yeah. Do you where do you want to start? Do you want to kind of like lead in, Simone, or would y'all, Sarah, Mitcha Uskola Tolowa, do you want to like talk a little bit about what you've been doing so that I have an on-ramp?
Yeah, introduce yourselves. Tell them about this class.
Mm.
Sure. Chukma, Soldier Sarah, Chickshanumpa, Okono, Soldier Chaholo. Concord, California, Oko Atali. Ellen Ned, no, I know this one. Ishtaan Shaloli Lituk. But yeah. Yeah. Shelly, you want to go?
Tumashke.
Sahol Tifo Shelley, Oskala Taloa, Chikashanompa Itanali, um, um, uh, Chickasaw ito na, hmm, I get myself stuck.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay. Homie.
with Simone and with the CAAIVP,
Mhm.
um, level one. Um, oh, I live in Wynnewood, Oklahoma,
Mm,
and I did live in Texas just a year or so ago, moved to Oklahoma inside the nation. So I
homie.
enjoy it. Not everybody in my family enjoys it, but I enjoy it.
Mhm.
There's
Gusto
nothing
nichi.
here. Yeah.
Gusto nichi. Well, Pugmashke Kanika. Yeah, nice to know a little bit about y'all. Um, how would be most helpful, Simone? I know you said a little bit about where y'all are. I think you said level 17 in level one, something like that.
Lesson 18.
Lesson 18. Okay,
Hmm.
homie.
Yeah,
Um,
so we're on lesson 18
mm,
and we've pretty much gone through it. And this is where they start introducing syllables and
right.
rhythmic lengthening. And I think I was telling you this yesterday a bit when we were in class, but
Mhm,
I taught it one time a couple months ago and I
mhm.
did all right, but it came back last week and I tried to teach it
Yeah,
again and it was just yeah, it was rough.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad you're here to, kind of
Homie.
fix that. Can you repair the damage that I've caused, please?
Well, I was saying to Simone yesterday, uh, like anything I've retained in Chickasaw Nompa, and really any language, but like, I had to learn it like 4 times. Like, I mean, like learn it and forget it, learn it and forget it, learn it and forget it. So, it's so different from the Holoumenopa as a language. It's just, I mean, y'all have already probably kind of grokked that a little, that it's like you just have to, and I think even our real like learners like Sinti, like Elias, who I think you work with, Shelly, who by any other metric like would be considered fluent, but they don't consider themselves fluent because they spend time around Kamasa, they spend time around elders. Um, like even they would tell you like I don't know, there's all these things that we're just still uncovering about the language. And like even today we were texting in the group chat and just saying like, oh well, some people teach it this way, some people teach it that way. And it's like, well, those are different things. So which is correct, you know? So yeah, I had to learn this. I had to learn this a couple times, and it wasn't until I think Simone may have already talked to you about Nicole, who was a Rosetta Stone teacher. I think may still be Onkana Nicole Loops, uh, who taught me this method, and it was like it was only after that I was like, oh, that makes total sense. So I'm going to teach y'all what she taught me, and hopefully that is useful for y'all. I will say too, as silly, as obvious and silly as it is to say, just like listening to YouTube videos, just like listening to Rosetta Stone for elders, um, you know, that's the only way to hear, like really, really catch what's going on with rhythm and catch what's going on with accent and things like that. So, and we don't get to spend time with the elders, right, John and Ada, and really get those hours with them. So this is what we have. So this is what we need to do. And hopefully knowing this stuff, like supports and supplements, like listening to them more closely, and you start to see, oh, that's what's happening when they do that. So that when you're speaking, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. So, um, let me try to share my screen. Oh, so that I can actually, I don't want to share. I want to use like a Simone, is it possible to do oh, it is possible to do a whiteboard.
Mhm.
I don't. Okay, so I'm gonna stop y'all following me. So it's just like a whiteboard in a school because I know sometimes people get motion sick from things moving around. Um, so this is a really cool lesson y'all just completed. I think this is like, is this the first lesson on seasons, or has there been one before? There has been one.
Mm, I think,
No,
I
there
think
was
it's the first.
mhm.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
There was a
Yeah.
lesson on like weather, like being
Mm,
cold, but
homie,
not seasons.
homie. Cool. So, this talks about winter, and you're introduced to the names of some of the months. Um, we have this word. So I'm just like, just for kind of, since this is probably top of mind for y'all, I will use the words that y'all have been learning. So hashtola for winter. Full disclosure, I've like never done this thing on Zoom before, so bear with me. Hopefully it's not too sloppy. So we have the word hashtola. We have the word, we got some cool words in this lesson. Owata. I'm gonna make sure I get all my glottals and everything in there. So owata for, do y'all remember what owata means?
Was that a hunt?
To hunt.
Yeah, the hunt. Yeah, active verb. Um, oh yeah. Oh man, this is such a great lesson. These early lessons, the vocab is so cool. We have Iowa. Iowa, it doesn't want to. There we go. Iowa. Um, Nunta Iowa. What does that word mean?
To
Gathering.
gather.
Yeah, to
Mhm.
gather. Or like
Like
harvest
gathering.
to
Yeah, there you go.
pizza. Yeah, people will use it when
Gather
talking
food.
about hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I'll just do one more. This is such a great word. It comes in handy a lot. Holle toblichi. And man, this is a hard word to conjugate. Um, so holle toblichi, to sholle, please. Can one of y'all translate holle toblichi for me?
To celebrate.
Yeah, to celebrate. Um, so we have these for words, and they got one noun, three verbs, and we are going to divide these up into syllables. Um, did
Just
did
pretend
y'all?
just pretend like I haven't t told them anything
Okay,
about
guys,
it.
that's what I was gonna ask. That's what I was gonna ask if like what y'all have looked at so far. Like I looked at the Sherry Begay video that you shared with me, Simone, and I basically going over exactly what she did. I found her video fairly useful as well. So when we have syllables in Chickasaw, we do basically like consonant vowel, and then you will have consonants like, let me make the list for you. You have consonants like sh, lh, ch, and and I think I'm missing one. Okay, where were we? Let's go back to Holitublici. I actually did not know that this word had two I's in a row. I'm gonna throw a bunch of other words up here for us. Horstina, we learned for calendar, or hashi horstina for calendar. It just means like counting the months. So let's keep it a vowel, or keep it a noun. And what are some other words? Oh, isi is in here. And ahithla. Ahithla. That cool. Okay, so this is another set of words. It really wants these capitalized. Okay. Um, so Shelly, all right. I'm gonna let you work on Holy Toblichi.
Okay.
So first divide it up and then see what's going on.
Well, okay. My lines are crooked. Oh my gosh. It's not very helpful. Okay, try again. And toe and lean. Okay. Toe, lee, toe, lit, cheek.
You almost got it. I'm gonna make one correction.
Okay. Toe, I knew that. That's what I wrote on my paper. But when
All
I did
good,
it
all
on
good,
there, I did it
all
wrong.
good,
Okay,
all
okay,
good, all
okay.
good. Yeah,
Toe,
you got it.
lit, cheek.
Toblichi. Chomakini. Cool. Okay, so yeah, count them off for me now.
Oh, hold on.
Starting from the end of the word.
Oh, count them.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry. Go
oops,
ahead
I know
and,
what I did.
go through them and let's find our heavy syllables. I guess
Okay,
I could have said that. Yeah.
we X this one out.
Eh,
And then lit is light.
eh.
Told would be long.
Mhm.
Lee is long with a double vowel, is that right?
It is actually, yeah, I didn't
Okay.
say that, but double vowels are heavy or long,
Okay,
yeah.
and then this one is light.
Hmm.
Yeah. So to, lee, to, lit, chi.
Eh. So we don't have two light syllables in a row on this one.
Mm-mm.
I'm just gonna put our rules back up.
Mm.
Um, equals short, except for double vowels. Thanks for catching that. Because
And
double
then,
vowels are actually, and you were about to say probably accented vowels, weren't you, Simone?
yes, or
Yeah,
actually, I was going to say nasalized vowels, but
yeah,
accented vowels too.
yeah. I was hoping to like encounter these and kind of learn them as we go, but maybe depending on what kind of learner you are, you like just having all your rules up front. So let's do it. So double vowels are going to be heavy, nasalized and accented. Vowels are heavy too. And ending in. So basically, you have this rule. If it ends in a vowel, a short vowel, it's short. If it ends in anything else or has anything, there's anything interesting going on with the vowel, it's going to be heavy. Um, so here we go. Did I get that right? One.
Yama Alti.
Let's put those right there for us. Except for, yeah, nasalized and ending in a consonant. I'm not sure why it doesn't want that to be a number. Okay. Well, oh, there we go. I'm sure there are more than three rules, but those are the ones that I kind of like put my brain around when I'm doing this. Okay. So just to repeat what you already told us, Shelley, we have, yeah, thank you. Perfect. We have a light, heavy, light, then drop. Um, Nothing really to add there. Any questions about this one?
So you only do like the lengthening if it's like two light in a row.
Correct.
Is that oh
Correct.
okay.
Correct. I was looking for a word, actually. I don't have it pulled up anymore, but I was looking at Sherry's lesson and she had a couple words. Actually, she had hopoba. It's a good example. Hopoba, to be hungry. Hoopla. Nice. Hopoba. So hopoba, I think this is taught really early on in Rosetta Stone, right? It's like in the first 10 lessons.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, Sakaya, Sahopoba.
Yeah,
When we
because
have,
Shopa is hungry.
yeah, right. Yeah,
And
Nishova's
Lily's
always,
hit him with the towel.
right, always hungry. So
Nah.
we have three syllables here, Hopoba, and they're all short. Even if we drop this last one, we have one, two. So we know that this is going to be lengthened. However you want to write that. Hopoba, Hopoba. So hear the way I say it. Hopoba. Um, Now, I don't know if it's worth saying now, or hopefully it's not cause for confusion. Like when you conjugate hopoba, right? It's a stative verb, so it gets sa, chi, po, etc. You know, sa, po, po, ba. This changes the way that you say it because there's a syllable on the front. So we have four syllables now, and it shifts one, two, three. It shifts the emphasis to whole. It's a hopoba, not hopoba. It's a hopoba.
Chukma, um,
Hashangota. Hashikostanichi. You understand?
Yeah.
Like how that so you have to watch with these stative affixes, these affixes that go on the front of the word. I mean that's a lot of them, not just stative, but you have to watch these affixes that go on the front of words because you have to kind of track as you learn more of them. There's a lot of them, right? I think, in fact, y'all just used one in your intro, ish, right? That or like iti, right? We say anompa for language or speak, but we say imanompa to converse or to say to, and we say itimanompa for conversation, right? To speak to people between each other. So itimanompa has totally different pronunciation, or has a totally different rhythm than anompa because it has two extra syllables on the front, and that changes how the word gallops.
can you give us that example to show us how
Yeah.
it changes? And then I was wondering if you can do future and past tense on one
Hmm.
of these to show us how it changes to maybe this one.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Okay. So these are also examples that Sherry uses, and I think they're great examples. Because they're like itimanompa is a complicated word. Like even just think like kind of conceptually, it's a complicated word. Um, if you're like trying to explain it to a little kid. But it's just like it's just conversation. So we use it a lot, right? Uh, so it's cool for something like this. So we have nompa. This is heavy. It ends in an M. That's not that common actually in Chickasaw. And then this is light. Anompa. Anompa. Right? So let's see what happens with itimanopa. Because if we added the im on the front, that'd be interesting. But since we're adding two syllables on the front, let's see if it actually ends up staying the same, even after everything I said. I was being very dramatic. So divide between the M and the P, working from the back to the left, same. But then this is interesting, ma. And then this T, like we showed before with owata, divided between. So two extra syllables on the front, but not in the way you would expect. Not it, im, anompa. It's it, te, ma, nompa, right? So this is another thing that just kind of like flips your brain a little bit as an English speaker. So let's see what happens. It might stay the same. Drop, heavy. Ooh, oh, this is cool. Okay, so I would do it from the back. No, I did that wrong. 3. So we got, this is heavy, my bad. Heavy, 1, 2. I outsmarted myself. I was thinking that, and then I was like, no. And then I had it right. So we have it, te, ma, non, pa. Now, this is going to be lengthened. So the way that you say the word changes, interestingly. Not like a whole lot, but heavy, light, lengthened, heavy, light, or drop. Ite ma non pa. Ite ma non pa. So I would say that. Oh, that's trippy. Ite ma non pa. Ite ma non pa. Do y'all want to try saying this? Do you want to try I just want to maybe hear, since it's important to remember, and I sometimes kind of fall down the rabbit hole of like thinking too much about the text, but it is like a spoken language, right? So just like remembering that like speaking is important. Um, Sarah, take a shot at anompa.
Sure. Anompa.
Chumakini. Take a shot at itimanompa.
Itimanompa.
Nice. All right, Shelly, you're up.
Okay, anompa,
Hmm.
itimanompa.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting because like learning this word, but by the way, you both nailed it. That sounded great. Um, this is interesting because I feel like I'm actually overemphasizing this ma. There's so many words like this in Chickasaw Nompa where you have two, yeah, whatever you want to call it, a lengthened and a heavy together, and you have to like just listen to speakers because they're gonna hit both of them. Manompa, iti manompa,
Mhm.
you know, and it's a little tricky to remember that as you're thinking about a million other things with the language, right? So iti manompa. Um, there is a speaker who was recorded quite a lot for the for Rosetta Stone, Stan. He's the male speaker with a really deep voice.
Mhm.
I love the way he speaks. So, if you all kind of maybe like have your like favorite speaker or someone you're hearing a lot. So, just kind of grabbing onto someone and being like, okay, how do they say it? Is I think, that's the advice I got really early on, and that's the advice I've followed. So, um,
I'm just now getting to where I can hear in the second syllable
mhm,
without the M on it. I'm just getting to where I can hear the difference with that. Like itimanompa or itimanompa, putting the M with the next one. Elias Asentu was talking about that for weeks, and I was like, I just don't hear the difference. But finally, I get to where I can hear it a little bit.
yeah,
Itimanompa.
Oh, so cool, cool. So
Tim one.
he's drilling y'all on that too. That's really good.
Yeah, he separates
Yeah,
them out and moves them apart. And every time we get a new lesson, he
yeah,
does that. And it's so helpful to me because
yeah.
I automatically see Tim in that, right? So,
Hmm.
so it Tim Anopa, and I see Anopa. So,
Yeah.
I just want to say it Tim Anopa, but
Yeah, right.
it's
It's
Tim now.
also
Mhm.
just based on English dialects. You might put your emphasis on a different part of a word, or you might even, like, if you really pay close attention to the way people speak English, there's so many, it's a global language, right? So, sometimes people even put emphasis on vowels rather than consonants. Like, go to Ireland and listen to the way people speak. Totally different than the way we speak in Oklahoma, California. So these are, there's not that amount of variety in Chickasha. There's a good amount of variety, even with the small speaker pool we have. But changing your brain to really be like, you know, it's consonant vowel, kind of just chunking it out like that is really going to help you get that gallop, that musicality, that rhythm of the words. And it's cool to hear that Cynthia is teaching that because Simone and I didn't get taught and we
No.
had to learn it way later and change the way that we were already saying words we had already learned, which is really difficult, right?
Yeah.
Um, but one thing I wanted to mention that you did really well, Shelley, was how you pronounce the I in the second syllable there.
Mm.
Because I had a really difficult time with this. And I think it's just being from California and hearing a lot of Spanish, to see I as kind of this E sound, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I do it
so,
too.
hmm yeah, it
I
took a lot for me to fix that. And, there's only a few words, and it's probably the light, the, the light syllable that gets lengthened or something. I don't know for sure or not. But there's only like a few words where it really hits the I like that, like in
Hmm.
Spanish, right?
I think the double I. But you
Something.
remember,
Yeah.
you always corrected me for my Spanish I all the time when I first started.
But
All the time. I'm like,
yeah, and
yeah,
Neshoba Toby used to tell me all the time because I would say Micha.
that was the
Mm.
one.
And she would be like, it's Micha.
It's michelada. We're thinking about a michelada. Come on.
I know. And then I think when I first started using that, I would even say miche or something like a
Oh
michela.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think even Senti had to correct me several times, like, why are you saying it like that? I used to
Hmm.
drink a lot
Hmm.
of micheladas. Uh, well,
I
I don't
I
drink
think
micheladas anymore now. Now I can say the word correctly. What do you know?
yeah, yeah, it's funny when we have these different language influences,
Mhm.
right? And you can really hear people in Oklahoma, like I'm sure we've all heard this, who like they're Chickasaw, they're Chickasha, and I mean this with elders, like I mean this with fluent speakers, like people who have been speaking Chickasaw their whole life. They speak it with a Southern accent. Like and growing up in the South, I don't know, like if you have heard this, Simone, not being from the South, but being from the South, I almost feel like I have a little bit of a unfair advantage learning the language. But in terms of the way like I can emulate the way that they speak because I know how to speak Southern. I know how to speak with an accent. Or even just the kind of language conventions of being like, you don't say that, you say this way, right? And some of that has translated into Chickasaw and back the other way too. So those are just little interesting things to think, not really think about, but to kind of integrate when you are learning to really get your pronunciation down. But like when I was teaching my daughter to speak, something, and this might not be exactly right, but I'd love to test it and see if it is. Like we started with the alphabet. At the beginning of the white book, the alphabet is in there. And the Chickasaw alphabet is a shorter alphabet than the English one. But it has some letters we don't have, including these long vowels here, a, e, o, and then the sound that doesn't exist in English at all, the thla sound, LH sound. Um, but like something that I have, again, I think this is just a kind of theory. I have never heard long, what we would call a long English vowel sound, like a O. Like think about like how like white girls from the valley, like they say like O or like E or A. I don't think those sounds exist. I have not encountered those sounds in Chickasaw. I've encountered like they're much more softened. So we have yakoke, we have micha, right? We have ah. And um I wouldn't be surprised if I'm totally wrong. And like there are words that I just haven't learned with those other sounds. But I have found it really helpful to err on the side of caution with like I think that it's probably just a softer sound. Like I think it's probably a short vowel sound. Even if it has a longer, like even if you drag it out, like hitla, right? Or we had holy toblichi. Even if it's dragged out a little bit for emphasis, it's not I or A or E or anything like that. So test that out for yourselves and see if I'm right and if I'm wrong, call me up and tell me because I would love. I have said this to Simone. She's heard me say this. I love being wrong because it means I'm learning something new. So, but let me know what you find because that has really helped me keep from making the wrong sounds when I speak the language.
Yakoke Fitz.
Yeah.
Yakoke. Um,
These conjugations change the rhythm of the word.
Yeah. All right. So starting from the back, we're going to divide it here. And then we're going to divide it. Oh, wait, just kidding. I messed up already. We're going to divide it here. We're going to go ahead and divide it here, here, and here.
Yeah, great.
All right. And then you want me to do the other piece too?
Yeah, let's look at the rhythm. Find the
All right.
heavy, light, lengthened syllables.
All right.
Perfect.
So I got that. This one's going to be light. I'm trying to do a circle. Light, heavy, and light.
Okay. So we have two light syllables in a row. Yeah. So what happens with that le?
So that's going
Oh,
to be
no, pal. It's gonna be
emphasized.
lengthened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can mark that however you want. Like you want to circle it, draw a line, whatever.
Yeah, I'll keep your line.
Tomas Simone.
Chukma. Sorry about
Um,
that.
it's okay.
Chokma Noah.
Um, so we have nom pa le tok. Eh?
Okay.
You want to try saying that, Sarah?
Anompaletok.
Non pa le tok. Non pa le tok. Shelley, try that word out for me.
Anompaletuk.
Non pa le tok.
Anompaletuk.
Non pa le tok. So it has the same rhythm as the anompa, the so-called bear verb, anompa. And even if it were just anompalit, it would still have the same rhythm, right? Because we would just drop the li, pa would stay light, and it would just be anompali. So that's an example of a verb that y'all have been using for a very long time. I believe the same thing is going to happen with anompalachi, but let's see. So Shelley, take a stab at anompalachi.
Okay. Ugh, I cannot do this.
Sorry.
It's the
Looks good to
I
me.
don't know. Okay. So X And then I think the glottal makes that long
Heavy.
or
Yeah, it makes it heavy.
heavy, heavy.
Mm,
Okay.
must be so.
All right. And then is, come on. Let me try it with this cursor. Oh no. That's a piece of key, y'all. It won't erase. That's supposed to be a dot. Okay,
I believe me.
dot. That's
There
a
we go.
big dot. There we go.
Boom. Nice.
No, dot. That's just terrible.
I appreciate your effort.
No, Palachi.
Anompalachi.
No,
So this
Palachi.
has the same rhythm as anompalituk ogya for different reasons. Right. Interesting how those things work out in the language where you have it's almost like, someone did this on purpose. Where you have, yeah, the same thing happening for different reasons. Something is lengthened versus something being heavy. Um, and obviously I'm sure y'all have been through it a number of times already, but hitting these glottals, I listen to Luther John and pay close attention to where he hits glottals and like how hard he hits them. Cinti has, and I've heard other speakers do. There's not a lot of like glottalization. There's not a lot of like choppiness. It's just kind of like fluid. Um, but I like to kind of hit them at least medium so that someone knows. So again, so that we're communicating because the word anompalachi is different from the word anompalachi, right? And I'll let Simone talk to y'all. You'll get there. But like, just suffice to say that without a glottalization on some of these, it is actually a different word. It means a different thing. So, um, and it's particularly important when you're getting into more complicated sentences and trying to listen to someone and understand if the word they just said is a verb or a noun, right? So, uh, there are a lot of stative verbs like homma, to be red, or a color, whatever color you want to choose, tobe, and then homma versus homma, that's different, right? Homma is the color red. Homma is to be red. So even just like trying to kind of stay up with a fluent speaker and listen closely, like paying attention to those glottals is important. But you will hear also how heavy the syllable is when they use glottals. Um, okay, we can do these last three. Yeah, Simone, go ahead. Yeah.
That was a really good explanation. And so when you said, let's go back to Anompalachi.
Hmm.
So you pronounced it in two different ways, and you said that these mean two different things. And
Hmm.
so, can you explain what happened there?
Yeah, like we have this thing. I'm actually not sure that like a nompalachi without the glottal. Like if someone said a nompalachi like that, I'd be like, okay, they're almost there's 90% chance they're trying to say a nompalachi, right? Like there's it's almost certain that they're trying to say that word. Um, but we have this in fact, I think holy tobleche, I think the word Holy Toble is the like root of that construction. We have this thing in Chickasaw, which Shelly, if you ask Cinti about this stuff, he will nerd out with you for like a full hour. He loves this stuff, as do I. But we have these syllables that change the way verbs act. And one of them is Lee. I don't mean first person Lee. I mean like just Li. It makes something an action. You can take a noun, and there are many nouns to which you can add Li, and it makes it a verb. Super cool that the ancestors invented that for us. Um, and there's another thing that we encounter really early on in Rosetta Stone as well, which is just this causative ending. chi, to make something or someone do something. So, um, so let's look up holy toblichi and see if that's right. Whoa. Yes. Dang, that's so cool. And I had no idea that the root of this. Okay, so the word holy toble means to treasure or to take care of. That's so cool. So when you celebrate something, like you're like making someone treasure something, making yourself, take care of something or to treasure something. That's really beautiful. Um, so oh gosh, I'm trying to think of there's so many examples of you have a verb that you know what the verb means, and then you can literally just add chi on the end, and it means to make someone do that thing or to make that thing happen.
How did you do it with a nompalachi?
So this would be a different example.
Mm.
So like if you had um okay, like if I heard someone say a nompa, a nompachi, like that, like he, she, they speak or are going to speak. Sorry, he, she, they are going to speak. Um, Let me see. Let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Because this is yeah. Sometimes the like splitting the hairs makes all the difference because there's really small differences that really actually matter.
And this is way above your guys' level. This might be above our level even. We've gone over this before, but like
Yeah.
the
Yeah, this
subtle
is like
difference in pronunciation is what I was curious about because
mhm.
I heard the difference, but I wouldn't know how to create that difference.
Yeah.
So I was just seeing if you could explain
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that. I'd be super
So
interested.
I am just I want to be really careful here that I don't make a mistake and tell y'all the wrong thing because this is
Mhm.
okay. So okay. Um. So let me rewind because the we have two things happening here. This is a mistake I was afraid I was going to make. We have a nompa. We have a nompale. Right. This is the li thing I was just talking about. This is a noun, a nompa. This is a verb. This is the bare verb. This is where I trip myself up. So when I was saying earlier here, this is third person, not first person. So my example does work. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. So this is like when you first start speaking Chickasaw and they've got all these lessons in the beginning where you're having to say this really hard word, a nompalele, and you sometimes forget. Oh, is it a nompale? Is it a nompalele? Right? Because it's like nashoba at a nompale. Well, okay. And then your brain starts to, okay, I need to learn that is a double li if it's about me, right? So if you are to put, if you were to conjugate this into future or past, you end up with these two things, right? Anompalituk, anompalache. If you're talking about yourself, anompalelache, anompalelituk. The rhythm changes, the person changes. All right. And if that weren't enough already, there is a difference between these two words. And not just how the rhythm works, but what they mean. Okay. So, Nopalichi, Nopachi. I'm wondering which of these is correct or how you would construct this. like to make someone speak. It's probably a nompalichi or a nompichi or something like that. But you can hear how, so this isn't a one-to-one example. Um, but there are a tremendous number of examples in the language of verbs that end in an A where you have to glottalize that conjugation like pretty hard when you're speaking, or else it could be interpreted as the positive um meaning of the word. Itana is a really good one. Like we have the word oh gosh, there's so many, right? Itana is to know, itana is to learn.
This
Itanachi, go ahead, Simone.
this is a great prelude because I was just texting them earlier that I said Fitz at rhythmic lengthening po tanachachi. He's gonna teach
Oh,
us rhythm lengthening, but he's gonna make us learn.
he's gonna make us learn. Right, right. So itanachi. But are you saying itanachi? Are you saying itanachi? One means to teach, to make learn, and the other means I am going to learn. Or sorry, he, she, they is going to learn. Right. Um, so I did not mean for there to be like a terribly long like discourse or detour into well, making sure you hit that glottal part on your achi conjugations, but like, just do that so that when, it comes time to learn some of these other constructions, it's not confusing, basically. I would say I could have made that much shorter.
It was interesting
Um,
though. I appreciated it. It was cool.
yeah, yeah. But for sure, like start paying attention to seeing these um seeing these li uh or chi on the end of verbs. That is just like it's kind of mind-blowing stuff. It's also it's also like if you get a little creative with the language, like there's ways to put these things together in ways that like people hear, right? So if you're, yeah, like enompa and enompale is a great example. You have a noun, you turn it into an action, you turn it into a verb by adding li on the end. It doesn't work across the board at all, but it does work like a lot for a lot of words. The same with chi. It doesn't work across the board, but it does work for a lot of words. Um, which is to say you can expand your vocabulary like pretty significantly by just knowing that some of these things go together in the way they do. So to wrap us up, let's try these last three and see what happens. So Sarah, would you do some syllable math for hostina?
Sure. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and split here. We're gonna go ahead and split here, and then that is it.
That's right.
So we're gonna go ahead and ignore that. This is light, and this is heavy.
That is perfect. So this is another three-syllable word and very similar to one of the ones we encountered earlier. I think it was. Can't remember.
And
Can't remember which
so,
word it was.
so Sarah, how would you pronounce that?
Hostina.
Hostina.
It was
Hostina.
Ayopashli.
Hashtola. Hashtola.
Ashtola.
Hashtola. Mm.
Chukma.
Ayopashli. Because, it's funny. I swear I've been pronouncing this Hotina.
Okay.
But Hotina, that's what it sounds like when you break it up like this.
Mm.
Which is interesting.
So yeah, and it is a shift in the vowel sound, right? There's
Mhm.
like a subtle, and even something that we might not even recognize we're doing, but also just that, and you kind of nailed it, Sarah, like this whole that
Mhm.
dut 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 dut, that the rhythm is dut dut dut, like that.
Mhm.
Hostina. Um, okay, home. So shall we
Mhm.
take us through isit?
What do we call it? That. Um,
Eh,
ignore or just throw it. And then this is like that's well heavy. Issy.
eh, isit.
Issy.
Um, isit. So this is basically a heavy. Um, but yeah, this is a word that is like there's a lot of words that are like super short, especially nouns that really I listen for the context, like what is the other rhythm of the words around it, and that helps me make sense of like really kind of how to say it right, so to speak. But yeah, this is heavy. Um, Not that common. Um, all right. Sarah, can you finish us off with Hisla? Hisla.
Sure. So we're gonna go ahead and split here
Mhm.
and here and do this. This is light. This is that considered light? No, right?
No, that is heavy.
Heavy, okay.
Or length, yeah,
Yeah.
long, yeah.
Mhm.
So how would you say that?
Hifla.
Hisla. Yeah. Hisla. So this is an interesting one because like our English mouths have a hard time saying that sla sound, that kind of combination TH and L sound. So it's almost like when I say it, I wanna emphasize that HI syllable because because of that consonant that comes after it. But just like when we were doing itiman numpale, like you have to change the way that your brain approaches the word. It's not like that would not be right. Like you probably even heard me kind of struggle with it when I was just saying it a moment ago. He sla he sa. So it's yeah, this is why these exercises are so helpful, especially when you're starting out. Like you learn to say it the right way, and then you don't struggle with having to relearn or unlearn anything like that. So um yeah, this is also a cool example because I don't think that, with the exception of Holitoblici up above, um, we didn't have any other syllable start with this combination consonant LH, CH, SH. We might have when we were starting out, but I don't remember. So it's just like a good practice to see those words and then remember, oh, right, like that's one consonant. I need to divide before that, not between it. Um,
Fitz,
so
did
it's
you
not, yeah.
mention? I'm sorry to interrupt. Did
No, all
you want
good.
to finish your thought?
No, Kiyo.
Did you mention that the last syllable is always emphasized?
Well, so this is like depends on a lot of things that I don't feel comfortable explaining now. Like I would need to do some study and get my head
Mhm.
around these different sorts of affixes, these different sorts of suffixes, I should say. Um, that Sherry talks about them, but Nicole has her Nicole and Nishobatobe and them, they like really understand these uh plus endings and minus endings and all this stuff the way that it's talked about in the Pam Monroe book. But I have to say that I have kind of developed like a little bit of a lazy approach to this, just to be frank. And I think it works for me. Like it works for me personally. I shouldn't say like it's gonna work for you. I should say that it works for me personally, and which is dropping this last syllable and then And when I say drop, it really depends on um what kind of word it is. I basically just like when I say drop, it's like, okay, I'm not thinking about that. It's not that it goes away or anything like that. It's like, okay, has it got a glottal on it? Okay, I need to hit it. It does it not? Okay, I probably don't. Right? So like I wait until I figure out the rest of the word and then I just let it go. So when I say it's like lazy and it's kind of just like it works for me, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Um,
I did
yeah,
want to figure out, I'm glad you explained what you meant by drop because I wasn't
yeah.
sure. In the lesson of lesson 18, they did mention that the last syllable gets emphasized a little bit
Mm,
more.
mm,
Like um, like in future lessons and in this video, we're learning that the second light syllable is emphasized and from, Fitz's wisdom that doesn't really sound very different than a heavy syllable in the way it's emphasized. So yeah, I mean, just I think what you're speaking to is when these affixes or whatever they're called get attached to some of these affixes that get attached to the word, things start changing. Is that what
yeah.
and I'm not sure how
That's
exactly.
the best way. That's the easiest, simplest, best way to put it is that when you start playing around with, um, like even this example you used a moment ago, right? Po, what do you say?
Potanachachi.
Potanachachi, right? Like that's a pretty complicated verb. And for that reason, like it didn't sound like it is, right? Like eventually you just kind of like figured out. But
I had to read it four
for
times. Like, wait,
yeah,
wait, wait.
for
Yeah.
that reason, it has all of these ways in which the rhythm change. And having that CHI on the end of itana and then having that achi on the end of itanachi means that you're playing with like more material for your rhythm, and that makes it more complicated. That's
And
like the
it's just
easiest way.
getting
Yeah.
all smushed together. And so, I
Sometimes
mean,
you'll hear speakers and they're just like brr. It's like, oh,
well, it
so
is like in Potanachachi. I mean, you
mhm,
have the chi and the achi getting smushed together to become
right,
chachi.
right. So yes,
And
that's
even
exactly right.
the po and the itana becomes
Hmm.
potana.
Yeah, this is called a vowel drop.
Hmm.
This is called a vowel drop. It's a rule in Chickasaw that you can
Hmm.
often just like push these things together, and this is something that you're probably learning, Shelley. Um,
Mhm.
but trying to think about what else is helpful to say about this. Like, um, you know, this last syllable rule is interesting because in all of the examples we have um in front of us here, with the exception of the conjugations at the bottom of the page, which is basically what we're talking about. We're basically talking about how conjugations change the rhythm. Like the all of these up here would have heavy final syllables. And
Chukma.
we talked about that, but this is just based on rhythm too, right? So it's going to be heavy. Same for this. So it's interesting how you run into these things that kind of just support or reinforce the way that you'd probably do it anyway,
Hmm.
right? It's like,
But
oh,
like,
I would do da 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 da. And then you,
mhm.
oh, that's because that's how it's supposed to go. So,
But with like a
anyways,
nompa, for example, that
hmm
would have been a light syllable at the end, but we don't count it because it's at the end and ah, we're supposed maybe it doesn't follow these rules all the time, but for lesson 18, we
right.
emphasize that last syllable.
And I
Eh,
actually hear this is something that we encountered really early on in our learning, Simone. Like there is just going back to what we started with, there's just difference in the way that people speak.
Mm-hmm.
And know what, especially with the elders who are like master speakers, right? They know the Chickasaw language is in their bones. Is not. no one is speaking better Chickasaw than anyone else. They're just speaking different, right?
Except for
So,
the elders are speaking better Chickasaw than us.
oh no, I mean only talking
That's
about
it.
them. Like
But between them, right?
If I'm listening to Mr. Carlin or Miss Rose or Mr. Luther or whoever, it's not that they're speaking. They have that opinion amongst themselves and each other, right? If you really want to know, go to talk to. But I'm not in any position to make that judgment, right?
Hmm.
So I just listen to. This is why I was saying the advice that I got to just really grab on to a certain speaker and really just kind of like listen to what they do. Because even when even we have a word like apa, right, for to eat something, right, or impa to eat. These are these two syllable verbs we have. There's like 10 of them. There's a kind of handful of them that are really, really important, irregular verbs. You hear people say those verbs so differently from each other. And someone can come in and say, don't say that way. Say it this way. And you say, okay, well, cool. And then the next day you could hear someone say, why are you saying it that way now? You can go back to the way you were saying it. Oh, okay. Right. So, and these things do affect how when you start conjugating those verbs, then it does affect it, right? So, like, just keep this in mind. Like, I have started being I've started being much more forgiving with myself and having all these like, set in stone rules. It is going to be this way, this way, and this way. Because English is standardized, right? People talk like,
Mhm.
Queen's English or whatever. But like Chikasha Nompa is in the process of being standardized. Whether it ever will be truly standardized is like, we don't know that. We don't know the future. In the meantime, there's a lot of just play of the language. This isn't permission to speak badly or anything like that. It's just noticing that there is a lot of room for difference within the language already. So the way that you say a nompa or a nompa is probably not that material, honestly. Like again, like are you being understood?
Right,
So
honestly.
that's where I'll leave it today. There, hopefully this has been helpful for y'all. I
Mhm.
found this exercise to be really helpful. Um, when I'm conjugating verbs, like that is a thing that is most helpful for when you're trying to put together complex verbs. It is really helpful to be like, yeah, how am I gonna say this thing? So that it sounds it sounds good.
And go
It
go
doesn't
back
sound
and
yeah.
relook at the syllables and do it again. Whenever you've added any lengthening to it,
Mhm.
you're gonna have to recount them again
That's
or
exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's a good
rethink it.
takeaway. And definitely look at
How costly.
Sherry's video. Sherry offers some rules at the beginning of that video. She offers more rules, like 5 rules or something. They're all helpful, just to keep in mind as you're kind of working through words in the language. And yeah, as you've just said, Shelley, like if you're conjugating with affixes on the front of the word, your rhythm's going to change. So keep that in mind as you start to build these more complex verbs.
Chokma, I really
What
like
is
how you explain that. Sorry, go ahead, Oskolatala.
no. Go
I
ahead.
really
I
like how
was
you explained that just be forgiving with yourself
Mm,
because you're going to run into a lot of people who they may be, elders who are fluent or, people who are learning the language who are going to correct you a lot.
mhm.
And you're going to be like, like me, like, oh my God, I'm a few months into CAA IVP and I'm still saying Chokma wrong. Like, that is,
Mhm.
it definitely, it's a reality check.
humbling.
Yeah, it's
It's
Humbling.
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 It's
Yeah.
humbling
It is
for
definitely
sure.
humbling. I
So,
talk about it
I
all the
mean,
time. It's just
yeah, just be forgiving with yourself, do the
mhm.
best you can. Just you guys being here and continuing to learn the language, it's just so important to, keeping the language alive and also, for tribal sovereignty, connecting with your ancestors. So just keep in mind, like, whether you're you're making mistakes or not, like you're here, you're doing your best, and that's what really matters.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much, Simone. And the only thing I'll add is like, um, there is a growing community of speakers, and um, I have found it personally like very unhelpful to be like attached to a certain way of speaking, because that creates division between speakers when we really need, like, we need relationships with one another and we need solidarity around the language. There's not that much of us, right? There's not that many of us. So like, you are going to run into people who have, I mean, you will for sure, like 100% run into people who are like very tied to pronouncing something a certain way or doing something a certain way. And like, that doesn't have to weigh on you, right? You could like take that. I like to say I take it on advice. I'd be like, thank you. Cool. Like I didn't know that. I'm gonna like see if that like helps me figure out the language better and become a better speaker. And if it doesn't, cool. And if it does, thank you. Like Yako Nika for that, because we're all trying to do that with each other. But just realize that like even if you have a kind of like soft and gentle approach with yourself, other folks might not have that with you or with themselves. And just realize like, okay, cool, like that's them. And we're trying to like build a community of speakers who are really just trying to help each other figure out how to do it. And at the end of the day, there are some folks who are they're extremely learned in particular aspects of the language, spelling, kind of technical pieces, and that is super important. And I always go to those people for advice on those specific things. But really, there's actually a very small pool of people who understand the language as a whole, and like those are the folks we need to be like really kind of listening to and working closely with if possible. And again, if for those of us at large, that just means Rosetta Stone and YouTube or like little small experiences here and there, then take what you can get and relish that and just like take notes basically. So Milla, I think. But yeah,
Yeah, Yako Kiko.
I I appreciate y'all putting in the work, and I appreciate you, Simone, for inviting me to help out with our today.
Yeah, thank you for
So
Well, we
being here
yeah,
appreciate
today,
you.
Fitz. I appreciate you for going over that.
e
Thank you. We've been
e
looking forward to it also.
oh
Yeah,
well,
we have.
hush knuckle, like yeah, let me know what else I can do to support, and you know yeah, like what else I can if there's any other areas that I might have any expertise around or in and I can support y'all with, let me know.
Can you
Definitely Yakoki Fitz.